If you love pumpkin, you are definitely in the right place. These recipes are all new to me and they're perfect for this time of year. Hey y'all, I'm Valerie and welcome to my kitchen. I'm so glad you're here. In today's video, I'm sharing 4 easy dessert recipes made with canned pumpkin. Okay y'all, let's get started. This layered pumpkin cheesecake will be perfect for the holidays. Now, if you want to make your own homemade graham cracker crust, you can, but I'm just using a store-bought one for this. I'm going to start on the filling. In a large bowl, I added 2 blocks of softened cream cheese, along with half a cup of sugar and a teaspoon of vanilla. Now you're going to mix this until it's very well combined. You want to make sure there are no more lumps in that cream cheese. So you're supposed to add 2 eggs into this mixture, but I got ahead of myself. I guess I was very excited about this cheesecake and I just moved on to the next step. I had already poured some of that cream cheese mixture into the pie shell when I remembered the eggs. So, yes I did. I scraped all that cream cheese mixture back out of that pie shell. So listen, if you mess up, don't panic, because most of the time you can fix it. Now, after I got all my cream cheese mixture back in the bowl that I originally started in, I added in the 2 eggs, one at a time, and then you're going to mix that until it's just combined. Once you add the eggs in, you don't want to overmix it. So y'all see, I mess up too, just like everybody else. And I got back on track here. I got my eggs mixed in like they're supposed to be. So you're going to take that cheesecake mixture, you're going to scoop out 1 cup and put 1 cup of that mixture into the bottom of your pie shell. Smooth it out. Now you're going to take that remaining mixture and add in a half a cup of pure pumpkin puree, along with 3 tablespoons of brown sugar and half a teaspoon each of pumpkin pie spice and cinnamon. Now you're just going to mix this until it's combined. Now you're going to take that pumpkin cheesecake mixture and pour it evenly over that thin layer of cheesecake on the bottom of that pie crust. And you really don't have to smooth it out. It'll pretty much smooth out itself. By the way, with this cheesecake, you do not have to do a water bath. And just be careful with this, just to make sure you don't spill it. Now this is going into the oven to bake at 325 for 35 to 40 minutes. Mine actually took 45 minutes, but you'll want to let it bake until it's puffed up and the surface is firm, except for a small spot in the center that's a tiny bit jiggly when you shake it. Let it completely cool on the counter for a couple hours, and then you'll want to refrigerate it for at least 6 hours or even better overnight. I just topped it with some whipped cream and sprinkled on a little cinnamon. This was so good. I'm so glad I tried it. It had a lot of pumpkin flavor. It had the perfect amount of sweetness. And this dessert is perfect for cheesecake lovers and pumpkin pie lovers. And it's also something that'll look really good on the holiday dinner table. This bread pudding was absolutely amazing. I got this recipe from Sammy, my girl Sammy May, and it did not disappoint. You're going to need a loaf of preferably stale bread. You can use sourdough, but I'm using a 14-ounce loaf of French bread. Cut it into 1-inch cubes and set it aside. Oh, since my bread was not stale, I put mine in the oven and let it bake for a few minutes just to dry it out. You could also just let your bread sit out for a day to dry out. Now for the custard. In a large bowl, you're going to add in a 15-ounce can of pure pumpkin puree, along with half a cup each of granulated sugar and brown sugar. For the seasonings, you're going to add 3 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Then you can go ahead and add 3 eggs along with 2 egg yolks. Also a teaspoon of vanilla. You'll want to add in a pinch of salt too, but I forgot here. Give it a quick little mix And then we're going to add in 1 cup of whole milk along with 1.5 cups of heavy cream. And be careful when you're mixing this here or you'll have milk flying everywhere. So you're just going to mix this until it's very well combined. And remember earlier when I said I had forgotten to add in a pinch of salt? Well, I remembered here, so I went ahead and added it in. And I just added 1/4 teaspoon of salt to that custard mixture. Now you can go ahead and set it aside for just a minute, and we're going to get started on putting everything together. I sprayed a 9x13 baking dish with some nonstick spray. Then I poured in my slightly oven-dried bread cubes. You're just going to kind of spread them out and get them all in that baking dish evenly. Now we're going to take that pumpkin custard and drizzle it evenly over the top of everything. And it is a lot of mixture here, but don't worry, that bread will soak it up. I just went in with a spoon here and tossed everything around just to make sure everything got some of that custard on it. If you want, you can kind of press down on that bread just to submerge it in that liquid. Now we're going to cover this tightly with foil, and this is going into the oven to bake at 350 for about 35 minutes. And then after 35 minutes, I went ahead and took off that foil and let it continue to bake for about another 15 minutes. So in total, I let mine bake for 50 minutes. Now to serve it, I just drizzled on some caramel sauce. I added some chopped toasted pecans and some whipped cream. And let me tell you, it was absolutely delicious. Which anything Sammy makes is delicious, so I knew it would be. I've only had bread pudding once before, and I'm already ready to make this again. So I'm pretty sure this one is my favorite so far, and I really hope you give it a try. I think you are gonna love it. I've seen this cinnamon sugar swirl pumpkin cake on TikTok. It looks really good, so I had to try it. In a large bowl, you're going to add in a 15.25 ounce box of yellow cake mix. Or you can do spice cake mix. I also added 1/3 cup of oil, 3 eggs, and 1/2 cup of milk. Now we're going to add in 1 cup, not the whole can, just 1 cup of pure pumpkin puree. Also a teaspoon of vanilla, 1.5 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now we're going to mix this all together. I mixed mine for a couple minutes until it was well combined. And I always try to scrape down the sides of the bowl just in case I missed anything. Now we're going to make the cinnamon sugar swirl. In a medium-sized bowl, you're going to add in 1 stick of softened butter. I tried to soften mine in the microwave and I ended up melting it. I also added 1 cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, and 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now you're going to whisk it until it's well combined. You'll need a 9x13 baking dish for this. You do want to spray it with some kind of nonstick spray. Then you're going to go ahead and pour in that pumpkin cake batter. Pour it all in and spread it out into an even layer. Then you're going to take that cinnamon sugar mixture and use a small spoon to dollop tiny spoonfuls over the top of that cake. Make sure to dollop them evenly, and then you're just going to take a butter knife and swirl it all around. I went back and forth horizontally first and then vertical. You want to get it good and swirled, but not so much that you can't see the swirls anymore. Now that bakes at 350 for 40 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. I let it cool down for a bit, and then I made up a glaze to drizzle over the top. And for that, I mixed together 1 cup of powdered sugar, a dash of cinnamon, maybe about 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. I mixed that together, and then here you can add milk as needed. For the milk, you'll want to add like a teaspoon at a time until you get to your desired consistency. The thicker the glaze is, the more it'll hold its shape and not run all over the cake. It's going to be delicious either way, but I just wanted you to really see the drizzles here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I just used my whisk and kind of went back and forth to do those drizzles. I do have to say, this was probably one of my most favorite cakes that I have ever made. I don't know, there was just something about it. That pumpkin cake, it had the perfect amount of pumpkin flavor. That drizzle on the top, the cinnamon swirl mixture, it was all perfect. It was a moist cake. Oh, and like I said before, if you want to use a spice cake mix instead of the yellow, I'm sure that would be delicious too. But I preferred this one with the yellow. And I love that you can see the cinnamon sugar swirl throughout the cake. These pumpkin cheesecake brownies were so good. To make it in a large bowl, you're going to add in a box of brownie mix, and you do want to make sure it's one of the larger brownie mixes. I like the Ghirardelli, the Chocolate Supreme. It's 18.75 ounces. Anything 18 ounces or 19 ounces will work. And this one also came with a chocolate syrup little packet, so I added that in too. Next, we're going to add in 2 eggs, 1/4 cup of half and half, and 1 stick of melted butter. Now I'm using my electric mixer, but you can also mix this by hand, but you're just going to mix it until combined. Okay, we've got our brownie batter ready. We're going to set it aside. Now we're going to make our cheesecake layer. So in a medium-sized bowl, you're going to add in 8 ounces of softened cream cheese, along with 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And you're just going to mix that until combined. Then add in a 1/2 teaspoon each of pumpkin pie spice and cinnamon. Now I'm adding in 1/2 cup of pure pumpkin puree and 1 egg. Now you're going to mix this until just combined. By the way, if you've made it this far in the video and you're new, I would love to have you here. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. That way you get notified of all my future videos. Okay, I set that cheesecake mixture aside. I grabbed a 9x13 baking pan. I lined mine with foil and parchment paper. The foil is going to help you lift out the bars when they're done. And you're going to spread half of that brownie batter mixture into the bottom of that pan. Just make sure you spread it evenly. I used an offset spatula and just spread it all the way to the edges. Over the top of that, I sprinkled about 3/4 cup of mini chocolate chips. And then over the top of those, I evenly drizzled over that cheesecake mixture. And after you get it on there, just use your spatula or an offset spatula to evenly, gently spread it out. Now for this next part, you can use a spoon, or I decided to use a cookie scoop to take the remaining half of that brownie batter and evenly dollop it over the top. I used about 1.5 tablespoons size cookie scoop, and then you're going to take a butter knife to swirl it in. Just swirl it until there's no more huge dollops of brownie batter left. And you can do any kind of swirl pattern you want. I just tend to go horizontally and then vertically. But if you want to, you can just do your own thing and swirl everywhere. Oh, I sprinkled about 1/4 cup more of chocolate chips over the top. Now this bakes at 350 for 40 to 50 minutes. Or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out with no wet batter on it. I let these cool completely on the counter, and then I actually popped them in the refrigerator. You don't have to, but I put them in there for about an hour to completely set. Then you can cut them into whatever size squares you want. These were so good, and I will mention I do have a couple in the family that are not crazy about pumpkin, but they loved these. And I wouldn't mind having these any time of the year. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe down below for more easy recipes, and I will see you in the next one.